Good evening and welcome at last to the end of an unforgettable football season with England's final match of their current tour. It's against the United States of America, played in the Olympic Coliseum in Los Angeles in the early hours of this morning. And after the heartening result against West Germany, the last thing England wanted was a repeat of the result when the countries met for the first time in 1950. The shock to end all shocks as England were beaten 1-0. And since then, not surprisingly, the games have gone England's way. Well, let's see what happens this time, after which we'll have a word from Terry Venables, who's been following the England tour closely. And meantime, 5 o'clock in the Los Angeles sunshine, and John Motson.
The Los Angeles Coliseum was packed to capacity for last year's Olympic Games, but the moderate crowd for this international reflects the difficult times soccer is experiencing in the United States. They failed in their bid to stage the World Cup. They've been knocked out of the World Cup. Their major outdoor league has collapsed, and the main hope for the game here now lies in the colleges and in the schools, which explains why the American team is a mixture of professionals who now play indoors and amateurs still at university. And the goalkeeper, Arnie Mauser, who today sets a record of 35 caps for the national team, currently doesn't have a club at all. Meantime, in England's goal, Chris Woods of Norwich wins his first cap, appropriately on his son Mark's 4th birthday. Paul Bracewell of Everton starts an England match for the first time, and captain Brian Robson was past fit after suffering a slight groin strain. We have a Mexican referee, Eduardo Codisal, and the United States, playing in all blue, start this international match, playing from right to left. England in all white, on a flat, firm pitch, well grassed. And this is Kerr, John Kerr for the United States to Murray, and a goal kick. England have played here before in the bicentennial tournament of 1976. They met Brazil in this stadium and were beaten by a late goal during Don Revie's reign as manager. And now it's Murray for the United States with Perez through the centre and Kerr on this side. This is Kerr, and it's back again to Murray, and that was nearly the opening goal. Bruce Murray, only 19 years of age, making his first appearance for the full international team. But I rather think the effort might have been wiped out for offside had it gone in. Lineker forcing the corner. And Butcher will try to flick that ball on from the near post, in again. And Dixon with the header from a cross by Hoddle. Kerry Dixon, who's scored twice and made one in his first full game for England against West Germany. Here's Perez. That's Perez again. Radwanski is just behind him, and the Americans force a corner. Perez there, the number 9. It's Perry van der Beek who's placed the ball for the corner. This is Murray. Oh, and a chance. Radwanski there was through, and the linesman didn't flag. Chris Waddle on the break for England, but they were fortunate there, the English defence. He was not flagged offside, Ed Radwanski, the blonde midfield player. And good save by Chris Woods, who takes credit there for getting off his line quickly. First appearance. And Dixon's waiting for this in the centre. So a close thing at either end. Full marks to England's new goalkeeper, Chris Woods, called into action there for the first time, really coming well to block Radwanski. And a matter of seconds later, another comparative newcomer, Kerry Dixon, close with a header. Kerr going up for the flick. Sansom. Here's Waddle. Dixon makes the run. Kevin Crowe there, cutting him off. One of the more versatile players in the American team. He's actually at centre-back in this first half. Not a good clearance by him, though. This is Dixon. Hoddle. Lineker. What a fine goal. That's a superb piece of finishing by Gary Lineker of Leicester City. What a smart piece of opportunism. Beautifully taken. No wonder he looks pleased. Glenn Hoddle was the player who initiated that with the chipped pass forward beyond the defence. But Lineker took that on the chest and in the same movement volleyed with his right foot beyond a helpless Mauser. England in front after 13 minutes through Gary Lineker. Windishman. Offside against Perez. Well, Chris Wood's save looks all the more important now. Here's Waddle. Dixon's moved into the centre. Radwanski battling away with Waddle there. This is Glenn Hoddle again. And they've got Dixon in some space here at England. And he's poked the ball past the keeper. A penalty possibly there first. Yes, Dixon was fouled before he got the ball past the goalkeeper and Crowe cleared off the line. The referee had already made up his mind that it was a penalty to England. So a chance here then for England to go 2 goals up. Mark Haitley had been appointed the penalty taker for this tour, but of course he's gone back to Italy, and Glenn Hoddle had the confidence there to come forward and ask for the ball. Oh, a good save by Mauser. Arnie Mauser going to his right, reading Hoddle's intentions. So a missed penalty. A corner instead. Terry Butcher's up there, Brian Robson's up there, and the score remains 1-0 to England. The penalty missed after a quarter of an hour. And the goalkeeper, setting the United States record today for international appearances, distinguishes himself. Away by Murray, one of the university boys. Only came into the side this morning when the original choice, Jeff Hooker, was ruled out with a stomach upset. The Glenn Hoddle to look here possibly for Butcher. And Hoddle again. And Robson's in there, and a chance for Dixon, and Mauser manages to clutch the ball just down by the post. And here, as the ball was knocked powerfully back in, Brian Robson with half a touch on it, and then Kerry Dixon unable to beat the goalkeeper. Now it's Cantor getting the United States moving out to Perry van der Beek. Radwanski's gone up outside him on the right-hand side. And Van der Beek looks for Perez. Over comes Anderson, and the flag was up anyway for offside. Here's Sansom. Robson. Now Fennick. Hoddle taking over again. Gets it back from Bracewell. Glenn Hoddle in some space here. He's got Lineker and Dixon making forward runs, and Kerry Dixon manages to get to that in the end and turns it into the net with a typical piece of Dixon finishing. Just when the chance seemed to have gone, he retrieved the ball and squeezed it in. So the Chelsea forward, who has a habit of scoring goals no matter what the occasion, completes 40 for the season now in senior football. Glenn Hoddle again was the man who started the move. The defender, Caliguri, and Crowe just missed it there. In came Caligiuri again. Dixon got it back from him. Mauser was committed, and Dixon turned it in. 2-0 to England. Bit of shirt pulling perhaps there, but Brian Robson comes away with the ball. Helped on by Hoddle to Dixon. Lineker will go through the centre, and he seemed to be held there by Dan Cantor. Free kick. And Dixon's in there again, and so is Robson. Oh, against the post by the goalkeeper. Credit for the save. It was very close, but Brian Robson congratulates him. So near to being number 3. It was Dixon first, Robson second, the goalkeeper's hand, the crossbar, then the post, then his feet. So the first half ended with England leading by those 2-0, the scorers Lineker and Dixon. And at the start of the second half, the United States made 3 changes. They brought on Tim Harris in goal in place of Arnie Mauser, Harris making his first international appearance. Jacques Ladouceur came on for Bruce Murray, and in the attack, Jeff Hooker replaced John Kerr. This is Chris Waddle. Kevin Crowe. And there's Hooker, the new centre forward.
Come on, Kerry!
Caligiuri. Brian Robson looking for Kerry Dixon. And Dixon getting round the back there, and Chris Waddle is coming in. And Lineker is there as well. That's gone over the line. It's 3-0 for England. Lineker going in to finish off. A header back by Waddle. And England score right at the beginning of the second half. Kerry Dixon here was the provider with the cross. It floated beyond the new goalkeeper. Chris Waddle got in a header which went down, and Gary Lineker forced the ball over the line. Here's Van der Beek. Not a bad ball, that, actually. Hooker with the shot. United States seem to have pepped up their attack with a couple of half-time substitutions. But Chris Woods was alert again there. There's Glenn Hoddle, the free kick already given. Dixon was fouled. Now Hoddle. Off when Cantor and his goalkeeper in each other's way there, and the stopper got the worst of it. I think the goalkeeper actually caught Dan Cantor inadvertently and laid him out. This Coliseum Stadium, famous far more for athletics and indeed American football than it is for soccer. Hence the empty seats here tonight. And off goes the unfortunate Dan Cantor. But while that's been happening, England have made a substitution because Kenny Sansom has gone off and Dave Watson of Norwich has come on. Perez, throw-in already given. Driven in low, and the reserve keeper having his difficulties, and the deflection on the shot, but he did manage to get to that one. Brian Robson coming in at the end with the second attempt. And Glenn Hoddle did well there and cut the ball back. Dixon was hovering, and the United States had pulled 10 players back. Bracewell, Butcher, Anderson is still forward on the far side. And he can stay there now because England have a corner. Watson has come up. It's Been played short. Here's Hoddle. Watson on the far side, away by Caliguri. That was a bit high. Player hurt is Jeff Hooker. Dave Watson apologising. And a yellow card has been shown to Dave Watson, who's only just come on and who caught Hooker there with a late challenge. So the first caution. And how it happened, well, you can see for yourself. And he was booked. Trevor Stephen and Peter Reid, the Everton pairing, waiting to come on. And Glenn Hoddle and Brian Robson, the two players leaving the pitch. Terry Butcher. Dixon. There's a good turn again. And still Kerry Dixon. And Viv Anderson's come up on the outside. Lineker's waiting in the centre. It's over his head and cleared by Perry van der Beek for a corner. Watson and Butcher are both in there. And the goalkeeper having to fist that one clear. And shot going through a whole crowd of players and catching an American deflection, which gives England a corner again on this side. And Butcher tried to reach that, and here's Bracewell, miscued it rather. Is Dixon in there again? He is, and a mistake by the goalkeeper, and England score again. Kerry Dixon gets his second of the match, his fourth in 2 games. But frankly, a dreadful error by Tim Harris, the goalkeeper who the United States brought on for his debut at half-time. And England have gone into a 4-goal lead. Bracewell miscued it completely. Dixon got it down, and it went through the poor goalkeeper's legs, and he couldn't recover. On comes John Barnes then for England. Chris Waddle making his way off the pitch. Here's Davis. But the limitations of this United States team been clearly illustrated once they've got into the last third of the field. Don't have the imagination or the guile to find a way through the England defence. Bracewell finds Barnes. And now Dixon. Butcher. Bracewell is well forward. It's been turned back for Trevor Stephen, and there's number 5. Trevor Stephen, having come on as a substitute, makes his mark with his second international goal. Terry Butcher in this left-back row was the man who played the first ball forward. Bracewell was in there. That was nice chest control. He pulled the ball back, and Trevor Stephen turned it with his left foot inside the post to make it England 5, United States 0. Ladouceur. Trevor Stephen on the far side for England, and still, having just come on for the last 20 minutes or so, got some running in him. Touched the ball back to Peter Reid. Bracewell of Everton also in support. And Dixon heads for goal, and Harris makes a reasonable save going to his right to cover the post. Hooker. So a long 10-month season comes to an end for these England players, and the summer tour ends in satisfactory fashion. England having, as expected, put the challenge of the United States to one side with a 5-0 victory.